In the modern world, we often delude ourselves into thinking that humans are rational creatures, especially when it comes to money. We spend hours analyzing green and red candlestick charts, dense financial statements, and the commentary of Wall Street elites as if they were immutable truths. But the brutal reality is this: you don't control your wallet with your brain. You're being driven by the most primitive impulses that have existed since the cave-dwelling era. FOMO, the fear of missing out, is not merely a psychological state. It is a core piece of code, pre-installed in the human operating system for survival. Yet in the age of digital finance, that code has been hacked by the system. Imagine a herd of antelope on the savannah. If the whole herd suddenly bolts, the antelope that stays behind to analyze the reason will be the first to end up in the lion's jaws. In the past, following the crowd was a survival strategy. But on the financial chessboard of the 21st century, following the crowd is the fastest way into the slaughterhouse. The trap isn't in the price of a stock or the value of a cryptocurrency. The trap is in your own brain. It's in the whisper that says, if you don't buy right now, you'll be left behind forever. And financial empires have become masters at amplifying that whisper into a collective obsession. Welcome to Inner Shadow, where there are truths society doesn't want you to know. The machine that crushes latecomers. To understand why FOMO is dangerous, we need to expose the real rules of the biggest financial institutions in major economic centers like New York or London. The market is not a fair playground for everyone knows that, right? It is an ecosystem with a clear food chain. At the top of the pyramid are the designers, major investment banks, hedge funds, and supercomputers capable of executing millions of trades in a single second. They don't play a game of prediction. They play a game of creating reality. For them, news is not just information. News is a weapon. William once stated a blunt truth: the market always moves ahead of the news. When you read a glowing headline on major U.S. financial outlets about a miraculous surge, that's when the party is already over. The predators at the top of the pyramid bought in months earlier, back when darkness still covered everything and fear was at its peak. When the news finally reaches you, newcomers full of enthusiasm and terrified of missing out, that's exactly when they need liquidity to take profit. You are not an investor. In the system's eyes, you are exit liquidity. Your excitement is the price they charge to turn paper gains into real profit. When you see people around you bragging about returns, when you see numbers exploding upward on your phone screen, your brain is flooded with dopamine. You feel smart. You feel chosen. You feel like you've finally found a door out of an ordinary life. But it's an illusion. You're walking into a theater where the script has already been written, and your role is to pay for the show. Look at how Western media operates. They don't sell information. They sell emotion. Excitement is a highly addictive drug. When the Nasdaq or the S&P 500 hits new highs, TV programs don't analyze bubble risk. They interview optimistic experts, display near-vertical growth charts, and use phrases like unstoppable, supercycle, the opportunity of a lifetime. They plant one message in your head: everyone is getting rich, except you. The one hesitating, the overnight millionaire story works like a siren. It triggers your survival instincts. It makes you believe that if you don't jump in, you'll be left behind. You'll become a loser in a world where everyone else is winning. But the truth is, all of that content is calculated. It is processed data designed to steer behavior. By the time everything becomes clear, prices have already reflected all the best-case scenarios. The inexperienced wait for confirmation and then buy. Professionals buy when nobody dares to. When you hear the news, you're paying the highest price, and you don't realize you're becoming the meal. The nature of the market. When the puppet believes it's the puppeteer. Try imagining a luxury item, say, an expensive watch in a high-end boutique in Switzerland or Paris. Its value doesn't lie in the amount of steel or the mechanism inside. It lies in the desire it creates in the observer's mind. Financial markets work the same way. Price is a psychological consensus, not a tangible, real-world intrinsic value. When FOMO takes over, price becomes completely detached from true value. A loss-making company in Silicon Valley can be valued in the billions simply because people fear missing the next tech revolution. In that phase, reason is pushed aside. People stop asking how much money the company actually makes and only ask whether it will go up tomorrow. This is when the invisible hand of global houses operates at full strength. They pump prices upward with fake buy orders and loud propaganda campaigns that manufacture a false sense of scarcity. The prey gets pulled into a vortex of borrowing and leverage to enter the game. And when the trap snaps shut, a sudden sell-off or a deliberately released negative headline, the crowd panics. The last buyers, those led by the nose by FOMO, dump in despair, and all the value they lose flows into the pockets of the people behind the curtain. That's how the system works, like a massive blood-sucking machine, constantly transferring resources from the weak to the strong. FOMO isn't just a temporary fever, it is a large-scale behavior control tool. Financial institutions don't just profit when you buy wrong, they profit when you are constantly anxious. They need you tense, fearful, deprived, and rushed because then you make impulsive decisions. And impulsive decisions are the system's favorite meal. Look at how they manufacture scarcity. Scarcity is not always natural. Many forms of scarcity in this world are designed. First is monetary scarcity. A global financial system built on debt from the US Federal Reserve, the Fed, to many other major central banks. Printing money into the system creates an illusion of prosperity. But when inflation rises, they raise rates. They tighten monetary policy. They make money scarce. And when money becomes scarce, people panic. They fear losing their jobs, losing their homes, losing everything. And in that fear, they'll do anything to protect their assets, forcing you into a FOMO game just to protect a small portion of what you have. This is not a system bug. This is a core feature, a monetary play, the double punch of excess and depletion. Look at how the Fed operates during crises, such as the 2008 financial crisis or the 2020 pandemic period. The mechanism follows a pre-written script. First comes the drug injection phase. When crisis hits, they inject trillions of dollars into the system. Interest rates are pulled down close to zero. Money becomes cheap. Scarcity is removed for big banks, but it is designed for ordinary people in the form of latent inflation. You see the cash in your pocket losing value, and you begin to fear. That's the first kind of FOMO. Fear your money will gradually become worthless paper. Second is the luring phase. When cheap money floods the system, asset prices, stocks, real estate, crypto start to surge. Wall Street media ignites stories about the scarcity of opportunity. They tell you this is a supercycle that comes once in 100 years. You see home prices in major cities rising 20%, 30% per year. You see tokens multiplying thousands of times. Now, the real scarcity isn't the asset, it's time. The system creates the illusion that the window of opportunity is closing fast. Third, the pull the plug phase. When the crowd has thrown all their savings and borrowed money into the market at peak prices, the big players begin raising rates and tightening policy. Suddenly, money that was just abundant becomes brutally scarce, and debt turns into a burden. Asset prices collapse. Those who FOMO bought at the top are forced to sell to repay debt. And who buys those assets back cheaply? The same people at the top of the pyramid who sold to you earlier. This is a designed cycle of poverty, built to drain the resources of the middle class and working people. Designed scarcity in real estate. Look at Western housing markets. Asset management giants like BlackRock or Vanguard are buying up massive numbers of apartments. They don't buy to flip quickly, they buy to hold. By controlling a large share of supply, they create artificial scarcity of ownership. And what's the result? A young generation in the West, facing the reality that they may never be able to own a home. They are pushed into a rental economy. The scarcity here isn't about a lack of land or bricks. It's because assets have been centralized into the hands of a few entities. They turn the basic survival need of shelter into a luxury commodity to trigger the fear of missing out in anyone who still has even a little financial capacity. That is systematic cruelty. The designers understand that the best way to control a person is to make them feel perpetually deprived, lacking money, lacking time, lacking opportunity, and ultimately lacking freedom. For designed scarcity to work, it needs a propaganda machine. Major financial TV networks are not merely sources of information. They are behavior-shaping tools. Watch how they use language. In a manic rally, they use phrases like breaking news, historic rally, institutional adoption. They create a dazzling atmosphere that makes you feel like the biggest idiot on earth if you don't join immediately. But when the market collapses, they switch tactics. They begin talking about liquidity drying up, about waves of bankruptcy. They create another kind of scarcity. Scarcity of hope. Why are 90% of players crushed? Because 90% of players don't realize they're playing a game whose rules are not published. They think the market is a place where everyone has the same chance. They believe that if they're smart, hardworking, read enough books, and consume enough news, they will win. But they forget one thing. In any game, the game designer always has the advantage. Financial institutions don't just have money. They have information. They have technology. They have power. And most importantly, they have time. They can wait. You can't. You are pressured by bills, by family, by society, by comparison. You are pressured to get rich fast. And that very pressure pushes you into FOMO. They know that when someone is in FOMO, they buy at the top and sell at the bottom. They overuse leverage. They bet their entire net worth on a single trade, and all it takes is a small market move for them to be wiped out. They also understand that people can't tolerate standing outside, especially when they see others making money. Envy, the eternal engine of the consumption machine. When you see others bragging about profits, you don't just want money, you want the feeling of recognition. You want to feel like you're not inferior, and that desire makes you jump in. Then when you lose money, you don't dare admit it. You keep adding more capital to recover. You keep increasing leverage to double down. And the more you try to recover, the deeper you sink. That's why 90% of players get crushed. But here's a truth. You are not obligated to become a victim of FOMO. You can escape this game if you understand it. You can't change the global financial system. You can't stop the Fed from printing more money or stop Wall Street sharks from manipulating the crowd. But you can change how you interact with this chessboard. To stop being ruled by emotion, you need a rule set, clear rules to protect you from yourself. First, the pause rule: break the impulse loop. Whenever you feel an intense urge to buy something immediately because you fear the price will keep rising, apply the 72-hour rule. Stop, turn off the screen, do something else. Walk, sleep. Give your brain time to return to normal. Because FOMO excitement is a chemical reaction, dopamine flooding your brain. It is not reason. If after 72 hours you still want to buy, at least you'll buy with a calmer, clearer mind. Second, the understand before you buy rule. If you can't explain an asset to a 10-year-old, if you don't truly understand why it's rising beyond because many people are buying, then you are gambling, not investing. Third, the position rule. You must always know where you are, how much you can lose, and when you will exit. A position is not just a buy order. A position includes your entry point, your position size, and your psychological preparation. If you buy without an exit plan, emotion will drag you around. When the market rises, you'll get greedy and won't sell. When the market falls, you'll panic and sell at the bottom. Remember, FOMO never disappears. The system will keep operating. New waves of FOMO will rise again under prettier names. The world will overflow with stories of once-in-a-thousand-years opportunities, life-changing gains, financial freedom. But the essence doesn't change. It's still the manipulation of the fear of being left behind. And awakening begins when you realize that most of what you fear missing out on is, in reality, what you don't need. The system wants you to believe you must get rich quickly. You must own this asset. You must own that ticker symbol to be recognized. When you let go of the crowd's approval, you'll see that scarcity is just a ghost in the mind. Look at what happened in the U.S. markets in the 1930s or in 2008. The people who survived and became truly wealthy were not those who were good at surfing news cycles. They were the ones calm enough to watch the crowd panic. They understood that real value is never so scarce that you must fight, claw, and stab for it at any cost. The system designs monetary scarcity to force you to throw money into risky assets at the top. So what is your counterpunch? Always keep a certain cash reserve for the most liquid and safest assets, no matter how much the crowd mocks you for being outdated. When crisis hits and design scarcity causes asset prices to collapse, cash in your hands is what truly becomes king. Financial mousetrap. Think about a mousetrap. It isn't just a spring. It must have bait, fragrant, delicious cheese to lure the mouse closer. But the mouse doesn't see the spring. It only sees the cheese. Financial institutions design the same kind of mousetraps. First comes the cheese, the 20%, 50% short-term returns you see on social media. Next comes the trap, leverage, margin, borrowing. You are invited to use leverage to amplify profit. You think you're about to get rich, but you don't see that you're placing your own neck into the spring. All it takes is a small jolt, and you get stopped out, margin called, wiped clean. And in the end, the mouse is crushed. An economic crisis is not the collapse of the system, it is a purge. The system cleanses itself by eliminating weak debtors and transferring their assets to powerful creditors. Scarcity is the lever that makes this process faster and more complete. And awakening begins when you realize that most of what you fear missing out on is, in reality, what you don't need. The system wants you to believe you must get rich quickly. You must own this asset. You must own that ticker symbol to be recognized. When you let go of the crowd's approval, you'll see that scarcity is just a ghost in the mind. There are things that Western tycoons, no matter how powerful, cannot manufacture artificial scarcity for and cannot devalue with a line of code. Real skills and deep understanding. Those cannot be manipulated. They cannot be pumped up or smashed down by an article. That's why they always want you chasing mirages, chasing external things, because if you focus on what is inside, you become free. And finally, this is the most important thing. You must learn how to stand still. In a world where everything is designed to make you feel rushed, to make you fear missing out, standing still is an act of rebellion. When everyone runs, standing still is an advantage. When everyone jumps in, standing still is protection. When everyone panics, standing still is power. Your patience must be measured in years, not days or hours on electronic tickers. Learn to observe the signs of artificial abundance when everyone is bragging about profits, and true scarcity when nobody dares to mention investing. When you master your own rhythm, you'll see that the financial market is merely a pendulum swinging between greed and fear. Your job is not to push the pendulum, but to stand still in the middle and wait for it to reach extremes, then act. The Western world, with its complex financial structures, will keep creating new illusions to lure prey. But now you have different eyes that can see through flashy CNBC headlines to the hands pulling the strings behind the curtain.